All right, so welcome to the Wrestling Buddies. The whole point of the Wrestling Buddies is we like to talk about wrestling from a fan's perspective. We also happen to have some insight into the business, so to speak. Bryce and I being involved tangentially through the indies out here in Southern California. But the whole point of the Wrestling Buddies is to not get caught up in armchair booking, but to talk about it from a fan's perspective, from a fan's point of view, because that's why we watch wrestling, because we're fans.
And there's no bigger fan at this table
than Rick.
This person right here. I'm like the biggest fan on earth.
So last week, as Cheesy might have seen, I think you saw as well or heard as well, Rick, when I said the Royal Rumble was coming up, Rick was like, "Oh, you should come over. I want to watch it." And I was like, "No, you don't. It's going to be 4 hours long. You don't want to watch the Royal Rumble."
But it's 4 hours?
Yeah, it flew by pretty quick. Yeah. So I ended up coming back over, and we watched the Royal Rumble last week. And Rick is definitely not a regular wrestling fan. Bryce will make him watch things here or there. I'll make him watch things here or there. The very last thing he saw, was Kevin Owens turning on Sami Zayn at NXT TakeOver.
Long time ago.
And then when they came out together, Rick was like, "Wait a minute!" He was completely like, "What the hell's going on?"
I was watching that show, like, because he was working by me. He totally got sucked into that show. He was like, "What's happening?" Like, "Oh no!" I was like, "Fuck that guy."
Fuck you, Kevin Owens.
Yeah, and he still said, he goes, "I still like Sammy, but fuck that other guy." I was like, "No, they're cool now again. They're good. Everything's all square." But yeah, Rick watched the Royal Rumble, and like, I love getting opinions about wrestling from non-wrestling fans, especially when they're not going to be all super snarky and shitty. And Rick won't do that. So how did you feel about the show as a whole?
As a whole, I thought it was very entertaining.
Yeah?
Yeah, it was like, I'm not much of a fighting type of person. I don't really like to watch fights.
Yeah.
Just because, like, people get hurt. You know? That's why they call them fights. But like, knowing from everything, like how long I've known you guys and how much we talk about it, like, it was entertaining, you know. And then we've also had that relation to comic books as well too.
Yeah.
With wrestling, and it was fun to watch. I had a really good time. Like, I think when, like I just said, 4 hours, like, it went by quick. Like, I was engaged into the show.
Aside from that garbage triple threat match, everything moved pretty quickly.
Do you think, was it the show as a whole, or do you think it was the Rumble?
The show as a whole was alright.
Okay.
I mean, it was good.
Because you've watched other wrestling shows.
I've seen others.
Like, not paid attention or haven't been interested.
This is one that I've actually paid attention to and, like, actually kind of engaged myself in. I've seen others, but this is one that I really got myself engaged. Probably because, look, what was the first one with? The first one was with Kevin Owens.
Kevin Owens.
And as soon as I saw that guy, I'm like, no, fuck him. I hope he fucking loses.
And he did.
So like, right from the first match I was in.
Yeah.
So
that match was very good too, man.
Yeah.
For Kevin being as hurt as it seems that he actually is, to keep going out there and working, like, good on him. But like, I kept sitting here going, like, AJ can't win, because I can kind of forgotten about Kevin's back injury, and I was like, there's no way AJ can win. It's 2-on-1, and I was like, but this close to Mania, they won't pull the trigger and put the title on and do something to where two people have to be champion this close to Mania. Yeah. But I was like, I just hope they don't do it clean, and then they do it clean with, like, no shenanigans and a roll up. I was like, okay, I mean, it's AJ Styles. They're pushing him as, like, the second coming of Shawn Michaels and the greatest wrestler of this generation, so it makes sense.
Right.
But as a, like, watching it, like, as a fan, just the story they told of Kevin Owens kind of being inept and Sami Zayn having to pick up the slack, and then them losing have nothing to do with Sami Zayn, and, like, you kind of sense this. The whole vibe in the story that they're telling is like, when is Sami Zayn gonna get fucking fed up with Kevin Owens? And when are we gonna see that dynamic of Sami Zayn as the heel and Kevin Owens as the babyface? Like, that's the vibe I kept getting off of that match and the story they're telling.
Yeah, the only shenanigans, although it really didn't affect the outcome, was just that the legal man wasn't pinned.
Right.
But that was it. Yeah, because I like Sammy as a heel, or whatever he's doing, like his sort of.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
I dig it. That would be cool. I'd like to see the tables turned.
There are people out there complaining that I don't get it that Sami Zayn still skips down to the ring and they haven't changed his music. I was like,
Mike
you
Johnson,
don't get it.
We're talking to you.
You don't get the point of that. That's the point.
Yeah. he can't tell. Dude, it's like he's still doing it. It's like he's not doing the same stuff.
No.
It's fucking exaggerated.
It's super over the top, and he's a complete douchebag about it. I love it. The tag title match, the SmackDown tag title match. Were you shocked that it was 2 straight?
Yeah, a little bit.
What did you think of that match? That was the 2 out of 3 falls match. Chad Gable and Shelton Benjamin versus the Usos.
Oh, I mean, it was good.
Yeah. It's hard. It's hard.
I don't really. I mean, I don't know like the technical terms that you guys use as far as like their moves that they use. But I mean, I thought it was. I mean, that was what was the second.
The second match.
Second match. Yeah, that one I felt was okay. Yeah. I liked the. I think probably because I had more heart into the first one.
It was.
But I don't think it was. I don't think it was terrible.
It was interesting watching Rick, and then like I was kind of having a conversation with you on Voxer through the whole show.
Dan and I.
Dan and I, and like I was like, the crowd's dead for this match, and it's bothering me because
this
match is really good. And then I look over at Rick, and I realized, I get it. It's because the first match had so much into it, story wise and even move wise. Like they pulled out some pretty big stuff, and to go from that hot of a match to something that you feel like might be longer and drawn out because it's 2 out of 3 falls, it just didn't have the same oomph that the first match had. And I think that's that another match suffered on its own, but because of that as well later. But yeah, I actually really, really enjoyed the match, and I don't know where they're going with Gable and Benjamin.
Yeah.
But I thought it was cool to see the Usos win and go 2 straight because it shows how dominant they are. And I think they're a great tag team.
They are. I've loved their heel turn, or I guess they're kind of faces again, sort of in a way. But
yeah,
I love the changes that have happened to their characters.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so we're kind of motoring through this because it doesn't need to be long and drawn out.
No, it doesn't. Yeah.
So the men's Royal Rumble match was next, and Rick, this was the thing he paid the most attention to, and it's because of the way that it was booked and the way that the stories they were telling in the ring. But yeah, like Rick was like on the edge of his seat watching the entire Rumble match, and I was like, man, that's good to see.
Well, because there's something about the Royal Rumble match in general. Like, I think that match can attract people that aren't into wrestling because there's just a cool dynamic to the fact that should be 2 minutes.
Yeah.
People come out, and it's 30 guys, and you're always wondering who's coming out next. And it adds a level of excitement, I think, even for people who've never watched wrestling.
Right, and like as Bruce Pritchard talked about on
So you never know who's coming out?
Sometimes
people have an idea.
So sometimes they'll do a storyline where like you're gonna be number 1, and you're gonna have to fight your way through the entire match. So sometimes you get an idea of who might be 1 or 2 of the number, where they might be in the lineup. But generally, for the 90%, 98% of the time, you don't know.
Yeah.
You just have a rough idea of who's gonna be in it.
Okay.
Right.
You just don't know where they're gonna be.
Yeah, the idea is as a fan, you're not supposed to know. Like it wasn't like there was some list of like, okay, this is number 15.
Yeah.
Like we don't know that stuff.
Yeah.
But like Mike said, sometimes they do a thing where you find out who 1 and 30 are.
Yeah.
Sometimes they get a little too cute with the booking, and 2 guys are feuding. Someone's 7, someone's 8. It's like fuck off.
Or they do the demolition thing where they're 3 and like the tag team is 3 and 4 or something like that. Oh, they did that with the Steiner brothers, I think, that year too in '92, right? Didn't they start?
Wait, not in 92.
Yeah.
Not the Steiners.
Flair's year was no 90.
No Steiners.
93.
93.
They started the Rumble match, I believe. But yeah, they did a great job of keeping you interested. And like Bruce Pritchard said on his Something to Wrestle With podcast, like the way Pat Patterson pitched this is like what you said. It's to bring in people who don't necessarily watch wrestling because theoretically a new match starts what should be every 2 minutes, not every 90 seconds. And it's so funny that in the men's match there was only, like I read that stupid numbers column and I told you about it, there was only 1 actual 90-second interval. The rest of them were either a little shorter, a little longer. There was like 6 minute 45s, and there was 4 that went over 2 minutes.
That's insane.
1 that was 2 almost 3 minutes. 2
That's
2 minutes
so
and 40
funny.
seconds.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
I don't understand why I get that they have creative control or whatever, but I just don't understand why they don't okay, let's do a legit 2 minutes. Like, so what? Just fucking do it.
And sometimes you want to let something breathe in the ring that's
Sometimes,
happening,
yeah, of course.
Or if something's not going well,
Yeah.
all right, get the next person out there. So the winner of the Royal Rumble was Shinsuke Nakamura. Rick seemed pretty into his style and everything that was going on.
Yeah.
I thought the right people were in the Final Four.
I have to say this. So I was, it's related. I was, what was it, like a week ago, and my dog was having some health stuff, and we had to go to the vet, and her vet is there, and we were there back-to-back days. I was at my parents' house, and we were sitting around, and what we were doing, and I threw on SmackDown on, like, the DVR there.
Oh, God.
And so I had it on, and my dad sees Shinsuke, and he goes, like, what, are they letting gay people wrestle now, too? And I'm just like, what do you mean? It's like, look how he moves around. I'm like, he is not gay, Dad. And I'm sorry if that's putting my dad on blast. My dad is not someone that's anti-gay. But, like, that was his first thought. And I'm just like, and now I see him, and I'm just thinking my dad's words are in my
the
head.
big sparkly rock star letters they put across the screen.
That, yeah. But like, I think my dad's like, he sees the haircut, he sees like the weird shit that he's doing all the time, and I'm just like, wow, alright.
That's funny.
So sorry. Yeah, Shinsuke's awesome though.
Yeah. I'm not upset with him winning. I was hoping it'd been Finn Balor though.
Yeah, I think I was too. But you know what though? Like, yeah, him or Nakamura I would have been fine with. I would have loved for it to have been Balor, but in hindsight, like, I'm really glad that it's Shinsuke because I think it's something that he needed. I think it's a breath of fresh air.
Not if they keep fucking doing this stupid entrance bullshit with him.
Well, yeah, and I don't know if you and I have talked about it that much, but I can't not stand how they call him the artist.
They were just calling him the rock star this week.
The ring announcer on SmackDown announced him as the artist of the Shinsuke, and then, which I fucking can't stand, and then that rock star crap. Like, it just, the moment he came up, it's like, no, like, King of Strong style, if you want to call him anything. Why is he the artist?
So,
not fucking Japanese Prince.
He was getting super stale for me in NXT because there was nothing to his character. He was just eccentric Japanese guy. Yeah. And that's what they're doing with him on SmackDown. He's just eccentric Japanese guy. But in that feud with Samoa Joe, they actually started adding dimension to his character. They did the same thing with Asuka. She was just generic Japanese girl. But the stuff with Ember Moon and with Billie Kay and Peyton Royce, they started adding dimension to her character. Yeah. I hate that they have to start over again. I understand why they'd want to start over again, moving to them. I get it. But at the same time, like, you brought them up at a time and a place where the crowd knew who they were. Crowds that are following are going to go, oh, they like them, we're going to like them too. Just move forward. Yeah. Go on.
Plus, they attract a big enough crowd for NXT like live now. They should get a pretty good indication that a lot of people probably know who these people are in NXT. Not everybody, but a good chunk of their fucking audience.
Did anything like really stand out for you, Rick, in the men's Royal Rumble match?
There was,
because I remember one thing that you were giddy about that happened. Was happening. Yeah.
Is there something more exciting to you about over the top rope rather than someone getting pinned 1, 2, 3?
Yeah, it's definitely having to go over the top. Like, I didn't kind of catch that until later, but it made sense because like I saw people roll out. Which I was like, well, I thought they were but they're gone, and then I see them come back. But when you have bigger guys, you know, that you have to throw over the rope, it's like that's crazy. It's I can't remember. I remember just watching and just having a good time.
So the thing that I think got the biggest response from Rick was the Kofi Kingston launching him back. When he launching him back.
Oh, that was awesome. Yes. Yes.
That Rick thought that was great, and then he got thrown out right after, and he's like,
that pissed me off so much. Like, come on, you do something epic like that, and then he's out. I was like, fuck that.
See you later, Chizzy. Yeah, that's really funny.
So
I figured it was that.
The next two matches, I guess, aren't really of consequence. The Raw Tag Titles match was more of an angle than anything else, which I thought was really well done. And the Triple Threat Universal Title match was garbage.
Yeah, just
how do you have a bad match with Kane? Like, and then the next night, like, you get to beat the shit out of Kane for 5-7 minutes. How does it not come across as cool? Like, I don't understand that. It was like watching Bray Wyatt having a bad match with Matt Hardy. How do you have a bad match with Matt Hardy? And I know I'm super down on Braun Strowman, and I just don't get it. But he did not, like, he had a bad match with Kane on Monday. It was bad. It wasn't entertaining.
I mean, it's hardly a match.
Well, I mean, it should have been entertaining. It should have been something for that character. It should have been something like, oh, okay, cool. Like,
I mean, for me, I don't know that I don't think it's entertaining, but I just feel like it's been there, done that. You know, I'm like, oh, he's flipping the stage. You know, like, I'm just kind of done with it. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, all right.
All right, so let's move on to the women's Rumble match. This was awesome for me to watch because there was some cool nostalgia moments. Vicky Guerrero, I thought was fucking amazing. That was my favorite thing. It was just enough comedy.
Annie's mom loves Vicky Guerrero. She had just left, like, all the time, because, like, I'm watching wrestling all the time, and she's always hears it in the background, and she hears, when she was on Raw every week, would hear, excuse me. She still says it to this day, and then she had just left and went downstairs.
Oh,
her.
She's annoying as fuck.
Yes,
I know.
exactly. But yeah, that was so good, man.
Yeah.
It was funny, but then it got old.
But yeah, Trish Stratus looked great. And like when she came out, I was like,
I think he called her Trisha Stratus. I was trying to remember her name.
She looked great. And then I was looking, I was like, is that new gear? I don't remember that gear. Why would she get brand new gear made for a one night thing? Like, is there something, like, is she going to be coming back more frequently? That would be really cool.
Yeah.
Lita has definitely lost a step.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't think the fact that she was wearing pants that were so fucking baggy helped.
I mean, that's what she used to wear all the time.
Not that big.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think they were that. These look way bigger to me. Like fucking MC Hammer pants.
I think nothing she did was sloppy. It was just slower than normal, which was fine. I mean, like, she has not been in a ring for a while, like, on a regular basis.
I actually kind of squealed a little bit during her moonsault. I was like,
I did. We all did.
Fuck,
we all did.
Way too late.
We all did. Because her moonsaults were never good to begin with.
No, they always sucked.
They always looked like she was going to kill herself.
Yeah.
This one, exceptionally so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Asuka winning was really cool. Again.
Like Asuka.
You don't like Asuka?
She was too showy.
I told him, like, dude, you haven't experienced her.
Also.
But again, I haven't watched any.
Also, right now, you're not supposed to like her. That's the whole point.
Right.
She's supposed to be an arrogant jerk.
Yeah, the women's match was really incredible. It surprised me when that was like the first one ever.
Yeah, and the main event of the show.
Yeah, that one was crazy too.
Yeah,
that was crazy too. Paige for staying in for so long.
Paige
too.
wasn't in the match. Sasha, you talking
Sasha, yeah.
I kept bringing up Paige because I kept saying
that's why
they need to stop using Paige's music.
That's
for
what
these
you
girls.
said. Yeah. Her being in there for that long was crazy. Just like even in the men's match with the guy being being in for that long. Like, that's crazy how much energy and stamina you need to be in that ring for so long. Like that's a lot.
And it because the ring has give and because it is not solid. Like, it's like when you go to a convention and they have like the foam mats under the carpet, you get tired faster because you're having to work harder. So because there's give to the ring, moving around it is harder than running on a treadmill or running outside. And it takes a lot out of you quickly if you're not careful. Mm-hmm. So seeing those two performers and other performers, there was some women in the match that went 40 or 45 minutes. There was a couple of men in the men's match that went 40, 45 minutes. There was like a good handful of people in both matches that were in there for a very long time. Some in there for a little bit too long, like Michelle McCool and Kelly, and yeah.
I'm not gonna sit here and criticize anybody's body, but like Michelle McCool, like something about her looked like it's like she's turning into SpongeBob or something. You know what I mean? Like she's skinny in tremendous shape, no doubt about it. But like she looks square. It was just weird. I don't know.
She kind of always has.
She always a little bit. It's just way
it's
more.
Just her
like,
body
her
structure.
Very
Yeah.
different, and she can't control that.
But yeah, I really, really liked the women's match. I thought it was. I mean, it wasn't as quote like spectacular as the men's match was.
Yeah.
But they weren't. They were booking the matches completely differently.
Yeah.
I feel like with that match too, the audience was kind of like shaky at first.
Yes.
And then as it progressed, like you saw them getting into it.
Because no matter what, like your thoughts are on whether the women's match should have went on last or not, like that aside, I mean, with the men's rumble, in my opinion, like the crowd climaxed that like that because a lot of times that's the big thing. That's what everyone's waiting for. Like you and I have talked about. Like I don't even think, and you mentioned this, and I agree. I don't even think the fucking title should be defended at Rumbles. It should be about the Rumble.
Yeah.
And so the Rumble, for so many years, there hasn't been a women's Rumble. And so everyone's waiting for the men's Rumble, where you're going to find out who's going to main event WrestleMania, who's going to go after the title. That happened mid-show, and I think it took a lot out of the crowd.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it was wrong. I just think it took a
There's
lot.
a lot of energy.
All those women, all 30 of those women, did an excellent job of pulling that crowd back
and they
in.
did come back.
And it started to bubble, but when Kairi Sane came out, that's when the crowd was like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. Other shit could happen. This could be some shit.
Yeah.
And then when she came out, and she was the one that did that big elbow drop.
Oh god, that was.
But yeah, and then the other Kairi Sane's elbow drop, Rick audibly went, "Holy Jesus!" because she jumped so high
Yeah.
That
and
was
comes down
way
so
too
hard.
high than anyone should jump from.
Rick is like the parent, responsible parent. That is way too high.
Don't jump that high.
You are punching way too hard. Do not swing that chair like that. Hey,
Yeah.
get off of him. Like that's Rick's version of being a wrestling fan.
Knock it off.
It's insane. It's insane, man. It's insane.
The other thing that
It's
Rick,
Kairi Sane, dude.
yeah.
She's insane.
The other thing Rick really liked in that match, similar to the men's match, was the Naomi stuff where she landed on the barrier
yeah.
and then got on the chair.
God, that was
And then-
hilarious. That was.
And then
like,
she got chucked right after too.
Yeah.
all that work and just,
But yeah, I
That was
thought that was
good,
cool.
though.
Yeah. Again, so the pick I wanted to, and I wanted Nia Jax to win that match. But again, I'm not upset that Asuka won. Like I mentioned it to you in Voxer, like as somebody who grew up like coming across Japanese tapes at the video store or from friends who had parents had some who also like wrestling or family coworkers that like wrestling, and seeing all these amazing Japanese performers, and then in the mid 90s seeing those Japanese performers come over, and even guys like the Great Muta in the early 90s not getting the due he deserved as being one of the greatest and being champion somewhere. It's nice to see that language barrier be damned, poor booking be damned. Asuka and Shinsuke Nakamura.
oh, she doesn't speak English.
They very
Very little.
It's not their first language.
Okay.
So them being so popular with the crowd and being able to engage the crowd in such a way that they can't sit there and go, well, we can't book them in a main event. The crowd's not behind them. The crowd is obviously behind those two performers, and it's great that they're that engaging and they mean that much to the crowd to where WWE has to be like, it only makes sense. And like you kept saying like, oh, the matches, the winners are kind of predictable, and like not knocking it. It's just like sometimes we like to have like an unpredictable finish to the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
Like, who's gonna win this match? But when it comes down to the final 10 guys or girls now, and you see it's like, oh, it's obvious because that's what they've been kind of pushing.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily a bad thing at all. And I think it's great that the obvious people won this year. But I think it makes the most sense this year that the obvious people won.
Yeah, totally. They did a better job of it, I think, in the men's match because it came down to 4 guys that were any of those guys could have won. It would have been fine.
Yeah.
But the women's match, it was like the Bellas and Asuka, and I'm like, the Bellas aren't winning. I forget who else was in it.
But I mean, I don't watch the show, but I do know that that's kind of what they've been pushing on Total Bellas is that they're coming back to be a part of the company all the way through Mania. So, given that's another place that they push the women's storylines on television, that made complete sense.
Yeah, I think it would have been better if...
We know, though.
Yeah.
We know, like, the Bellas aren't made
Right.
WrestleMania. Get
Um,
out of here.
Yeah, that's just not happening.
Get out of here.
And then also, like, I felt like Asuka winning was just a little too telegraphed. I would have been much happier if Nia Jax... Like, again, I'm not
Right.
happy. But Nia Jax would have been one, or Sasha Banks for me, I think, would have been good if she would have won too. But it's fine. It's totally fine. I'm happy that she won. I'm not complaining at all. Even though it sounds like I am. So.
If they, I think next year, if they really want to get back on track with a character specifically and use that match to do it, put Bayley in at number 1 and have her go all the way.
Yeah.
Get that character back on track.
And that's the other thing that's really, really awesome about the Royal Rumble too, because in one night and in one match, you sometimes can completely rehab a character, whether it's
more than one,
whether it's someone throwing out a shit ton of people, being in there for a really long time, or fucking winning. You know,
was it like 3 years ago or whatever when Jericho came back and it was like not a surprise thing, but he hadn't been on the road, and he came in for the Rumble, and then was in the match for like 45 minutes, and like it was not that people were cold on Chris Jericho because he's fucking Chris Jericho, but it was one of those things like, oh, cool, Chris Jericho being here for a few minutes and get pitched, and have everybody had a good time seeing Chris Jericho, and then he went 45 minutes, and then coming out of that, like they started pushing him because the crowd was like, oh crap, he 42 years old can still actually really do this, awesome, and it helps, and it doesn't just help the winner. The Royal Rumble can help. Rusev is number 1 contender for the United States title now. He was number 1. He was the big guy, the Bulgarian guy that came out. The guy sung him to the ring, called Rusev Day stuff. Yeah. He's another one. He's number 1 contender for the U.S. title now, and like he was number 1 in the Rumble, and he was in there for a while, and he's so engaging in the crowd. He's so entertaining, and the crowd is so behind him. Even though he's a bad guy. Right? No, that's Elias.
Oh, Elias.
He's good too.
Right, yeah.
Elias Sampson. I still call him Elias Sampson. I hate this one name bullshit. But yeah, he's another one that had a great showing in the Rumble. And when they cleared the ring, I was like, something good's going to happen right now. And then his music started, and I was like, this is going to be good. Rick liked that too. That was another thing.
That was
awesome.
Speaking of the name stuff, this is on topic, but off topic a little bit. Like, the one name crap, I started thinking about, like, is Andrade Cien Almas gonna get called up and like, oh well, there goes his name. He's gonna just be Cien or Almas.
He's gonna be Cien Almas. They'll drop the Andrade.
Oh, God.
They'll drop the Andrade.
Stupid.
But anyway, okay. So Royal Rumble, Rick overall, like earlier, he said he had a really fun time watching that show. I think it's one of the better Royal Rumble pay-per-views in a long time, and both of those matches. The men's match was far and away better than last year's Rumble match.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
one of the better ones in a long time.
Yes, and the women's match was a great way to pay homage to some of the women that didn't get a fair shake during the early 2000s in WWE. Women like Beth Phoenix that can actually work. Lita and Trish, who stood out during their time. Jackie getting to come out, and I was like, when she came out, I was like, oh, you little blonde girls better turn around and watch out, because this woman will whip your ass if you're not paying attention. And she went in there and started whooping some ass, and I loved it. But yeah, it was a great way to kind of, pay respect to women that came before them and like have them involved in that historic event.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah, it's great. I look forward to the next one.
WrestleMania.
Next Rumble or the next
Rumble.
Oh, next Rumble. that's gonna be Rick's WrestleMania. Is the Royal Rumble every year. That's the one he's gonna want to watch every year. That's cool. Hey man, it's better than watching nothing.
To me that's the second biggest show of the year. Fuck the SummerSlam
for me.
stuff.
Yeah,
that's
for me
the second biggest show of the year. How is it not? I don't understand.